All right, welcome back everybody. So did an airline pop? Yes. Is the car wrecked? No, it's not. Does it have some bumps and bruises? Unfortunately, yes, it's kind of what happens when you're dragging one of your front wheels that's completely aired out. So just to sum it up, sitting at a light, maybe 2 miles from the house here, and I hear like what it sounds like a little air explosion over the radio. I looked at my controller, right front wheels completely down. It's kind of like narrow roads around here, so I kind of had to like get the car off the road, but there's no place to like pull over. So I kept trying to air up the front, and at this time smoke's just billowing out, because you can imagine I always have my hood up when it's aired out because the tires hit the hood. So smoke's just billowing out. I pull off on a road close to my place. I open up the hood, and I'm like, this thing's aired out. I gotta either get it back or flatbed it. If I flatbed it, it's just gonna rip the whole front of the car off getting it towed up there. So didn't really have any options to pull off and leave it and come back to it. Had the hood popped up, turned the headlights on. I looked through like the little crack in the headlight and first gear and just kind of creeped it all the way back. So airbag didn't explode, the manifold didn't give out. It was an airline right by the header, which is kind of crazy. Didn't see that coming, so I guess what happened was the cast manifold was obviously a little bit tighter to the block. Where it had the airline running, it was pretty far at that point. Now that the headers are on there, it's a little closer, like maybe, I don't know, 2 inches, which I'll show you. But it was enough to heat it up, enough. There like a little pinhole, like a real small, melted it, and then, you know, all that pressure just kind of leaked out and just dropped the front of it. So definitely didn't see that coming. I overlooked everything, and even when I had the alignment rack, I looked up and down everything just to check, make sure, you know, I wasn't missing anything, or anything was rubbing, anything noticeable. So that being said, yeah, so we're gonna replace that today and try to correct that. Maybe we're gonna rerun it in a different place so that that doesn't happen again, obviously. And then we're also gonna double check the other side, make sure that airline's not close to the header. I just think because summertime, hood shut, the headers kick off a ton of heat, and it was just close enough, and you know, it's a plastic line, so what are you gonna do? It's gonna melt if it's too close to heat like that. So, didn't know, but either way, it wasn't catastrophic. I'll show you the couple things that the tire did do to the hood. But it really wasn't that bad. It could have been so much worse. So yeah, should I run bump stops in the car? Yeah, maybe I was going on like a really far trip or something, but I just drive the car around here, so it's not that big of a deal for me. I really purpose built this thing, so I wanted it to look a certain way when I drive it somewhere and air it out. But it's just one of those things you gotta keep an eye out on, and you know, stuff happens, unfortunately. So we're just gonna get ahead now, take a look at this, repair it, and get it back on the road. All right, so just want to zoom in here and show you where the line is. So if you look right down there, there's the line, and it's maybe like 2 inches here from the header, but apparently that was enough because it's melted right in there, and that's where it started leaking out. So my plan is probably to try to reroute it somewhere, obviously away from there. I didn't think it was going to be that bad, but I'm going to see if I can route it somewhere just to keep it away from all that heat there. So I'm going to jack it up now and then just start tearing into it. All right, so now we'll look at all the damage that I caused here. So this is the outside of the hood here. That was from the tire initially with the hood down, popping and rubbing on there till I was able to open up the hood. And it wore down a bunch of the fiberglass in there. And then besides the tire being worn down, this got cracked out a little bit here, a little bit here. But other than that, that's pretty much it. I looked underneath the car. Like the control arm, all that stuff is not scraped up or anything. I did notice this was just kind of ripped up a little bit, but it stayed intact. It was pulled down a little bit. I mean, the front of this car was just literally on the ground. I was dragging it. So we just have to clean all this stuff up a little bit. And there is the culprit right there. All right, so this is my plan. I ran this underneath this like heater box here. So it goes from underneath there, I'm gonna run it around here like that, And I'm gonna tuck it back, kind of like where it was originally. This is where I had it kind of mounted, and then kick it into the air spring there. So at least it'll be away from the header. I did also get this heat shield too. I'm gonna just kind of run a section of it over here just to be safe, just to keep any extra heat off of it, just to prevent that from happening again. So I got it hooked up in there, mounted the same place here before. Here's the heat shield, and it runs all the way on the inside there, and then along here, and then back under. So now I'm gonna go tie it in underneath the car. All right, so I'm under the car. This is the line that goes back to the manifold, and then this is the new line that I just put in. So I'm going to use this fitting instead of a push style connector. Not that there's any difference, you could use either one. I'm just gonna go with this here, and I'm gonna just kind of trim this down, and then tie it up in here like this, just to get it out of the way. So it goes this nut first, then this piece here, and this goes inside. Okay, now that's installed, I'm gonna pressurize the system and then spray this with soapy water, and then I'm gonna tie this up out of the way so it's secure, not rattling around under here. All right, so I put about like 140 PSI in the line right now. So I'm just gonna soak it up with some soapy water and then just give it a couple minutes to see if we have any leaks. All right, so it's been about 10 minutes and it's been holding pressure, and as you can see, you just see the water in there. Normally if you've got an air bubble, this thing's gonna be all foaming and stuff like that, so we're pretty good with this. So now I'm going to tuck this up out of the way and then go ahead and get the car back down on the ground. Should be good to go. Just to take a precaution, I'm over here on the driver's side. So this is my airline here, and it's pretty close to the header. Not as close as the other side was, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut a piece of this, and I'm going to just kind of put it up in here like this, so it kind of keeps the heat off of this area, just to prevent anything long term, if any heat, and this gets distorted and weak and then pops. So I'm just gonna add that now while I'm under here. All right, so just wrap that up, and you can see now it's all protected from the header. Alright, so that'll do it for today's video. So, kind of an easy repair. Am I a little shell shocked and be worried when I'm driving the car back and forth around here? Probably for like a week or two, and then I'll get over it. But maybe we'll do like another inspection on everything in the next video, just to make sure nothing's rubbing or anything like that. So, if you enjoyed the video, press like, subscribe. Thanks for watching.